and welcome to another episode of All That Film. Hello, welcome to a bonus episode for All That Film, where we're just talking about all the fun things that a couple of our hosts have been watching for the month of August. I'm your host, Hay, and we're joined by an illustrious group, a lot of big-brained individuals here. So we're going to talk about some film with the E exclamation at the end. But we got Todd, Angelis, Matthew, and Lindsay. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
And we'll just get straight into it. So this is just going to be, sort of what we were watching for the month of August, all that fun stuff. Are you good, Matthew?
Oh yeah, just clicked off the screen. Sorry about that.
Okay, I think you went to video for a second.
Yeah, I fly, and I got scared.
No, it's all good. But we're just gonna go into a couple of things that we've watched for the month. Think of it like a recap for the month of August. So yeah, we'll get right into it. Todd, what is the first thing that you want to bring up that you watched for the month of August?
So this is a movie I watch almost every month. It is the movie Clue, 1985, Jonathan Lynn directing. I think some people in here are fans of Clue, but based on the board game Clue, people know this movie.
Yes, Clue's amazing.
Yes. So this is basically my favorite comedy, one of my probably top 2 or 3 favorite comedies of all time. I think it is comic timing, excellence, brilliance, and I really suggest people watch it. It's one of the best ensemble cast comedies ever made, and I like to just plug it. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Nice, yeah, Clue's terrific.
It is also one of my favorite movies. I was gonna watch it this month, but I couldn't. But yes, it's so good. Love it so much.
All right, Angelis, speaking of which, you're up next with what you've been watching. The first thing you want to talk about.
Speaking of movies, we have watched a lot this month. I watched this movie mockumentary called Tour de Pharmacy. I watched it 7 times this month.
Whoa! Wow!
It's really like 40 minutes. It's really funny, and I don't want to say a lot about it because I suggest people go blind into it. But it's really funny. It's something about the Tour de France, the cycling tour. So yeah, it's really funny, and it's also short. It's like 50 minutes. So yes, I found it and I loved it, and it became one of my favorite movies too quickly. So yeah, that.
It's so funny.
Yes.
You said Tour de Pharmacy?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna write
Okay.
it. Wait.
The cast is insane.
Yeah.
Go farm.
Gotcha. I'm just writing a
Don't
couple of
look
these
at the
down.
cast,
Put it on
then
the
it
list.
surprise you. It becomes increasingly chaotic as the movie progresses. Believe me.
Gotcha. Well, with that, Matthew, you're up. Is your first recommend something you've seen 7 times this month?
It's more than 7 different things. The first thing I did was watch a ton of David Lynch shorts of just ones I haven't seen,
nice.
and they're all less than 15 minutes. Only a few of them go longer than 20. But yeah, it was fun. I really like David Lynch as a director, and I never really explored his shorts until the 1st of August. And I just watched all of them. I think I finished most of them, at least all the ones I could find.
Nice. Wow, that's extensive. But
There's
yeah.
20. There's 20 of them or 30.
Yeah. I'm more of a David Lynch pants guy myself. Sorry. But no, great pick. Give me one sec. Yeah. So for my first one, I have actually a little bit of a weird story, I guess, about this. Basically, I watched this movie called Middle School: The Worst Years of My Life, I think is a full title. But it's got, I think it's Garrett Gluck, and a couple other people you might recognize. It's just like a tween coming of age type of story. And there's something this movie does that I don't want to necessarily give away. I don't know if anybody's seen it in here, but I watched it while I was editing my The Wind Rises video. And because normally like I'll just have something on in the background, and I assumed it was one of those movies where like you can just have on in the background. But there's a major thing that happens in it, so I had to watch it twice. And I will say, for something that's made for like 10 to 12-year-old kids, I think it is an interesting like inclusion. So it's one of those things where like I don't think the movie's great. I think it's one of those cases where like 24-year-olds are like, or not 24-year-olds, 40-year-olds are like, these are how kids sound, right? In a couple of cases. But yeah, it's worth checking out just for that. So middle school, the worst years.
I saw that too in middle school. Sorry. For some reason,
nice.
Yeah, it was at the end of the year where teachers just basically give up and they just put on movies. So
yeah, of course.
That ending was that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, no, that's what. See, the thing is, like, I think my brother's the same age as you, and he had told me like that the specific choice they go with. He was like, "Yeah, that's crazy, right?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, if I saw that when I was like 10 or 12, I would be like, whoa." It's called Middle School: The Worst Years of My Life, I think, Lindsay. But yeah, so that's going to be my first one, and then we'll move on to Lindsay.
Oh, okay. I rewatched the Lord of the Rings trilogy because it's my favorite movies of all time. They're my favorite movies of all time. I rewatched the theatrical cut for the first time in a long time, and they're definitely not as good as extended. So then I was talking to my roommate about it, and we watched the first two extended versions, but with cast commentary, because I've never seen the cast commentary tracks before for those movies. And I super highly recommend listening to those if you like Lord of the Rings, because it's so funny. It's just like Ian McKellen being really shady. And all the hobbits are just so stupid and hilarious. And Orlando Bloom clearly had no idea what to talk about, and so he just like rambles about nothing, and it's so good. So I really recommend the Lord of the Rings commentary tracks. We're gonna do Return of the King soon. We've only done the first two.
Nice, yeah. I actually have never watched the extended editions of them.
Oh my god, you have to. They're the best versions.
Yeah, they're the best versions.
For sure, yeah. I just thought, because when I see on my screen, I was like, okay, well, how long is this movie? And it's like 3 hours and 30 minutes. I was like, okay, this has got to be the extended version.
Nope.
It was not. But Lindsay, we'll go back. Oh, sorry, what?
I was just saying the Return of the King is nearly 5 hours.
Yeah, that's... Looking forward to going back into them. Because the way I did it, I don't know if this is how other people do it, but I assumed if I watched them separate, I'd never finish them. So I watched them all in one day,
Nice.
and it was a lot.
I've done that twice with the
extended. Yeah, you'll start like decently early in the morning, and then when I finished, I was like, "Oh, it's dark outside."
Yeah, it was like 13 hours total, I think. Yeah, it's a lot, but I really enjoy doing that. But yeah, my next thing, I kind of combined these two movies together to talk about, because they kind of go together. But so since I'm obsessed with Lord of the Rings again, I decided that I'm going to go through Elijah Wood's entire filmography. And he's done a lot of movies. So the two that I wanted to mention that I watched this month were Cooties and Come to Daddy. Because, God, Elijah Wood just, like, cashed in that Lord of the Rings money, and then he was like, I'm going to make the weirdest movies that I can, because nothing matters. And I really respect that. But Cooties, I thought, was a lot of fun. It was just kind of like a zombie movie, and it was just, I don't know, it was kind of silly, but I liked Cooties. Come to Daddy, I can see why some people would like it. It's kind of like a dark comedy. It's super weird, but it wasn't for me, but like I really respect Elijah Wood for just doing these weird roles after Lord of the Rings. Going through his films right now, I'm just like, what are you doing? But yeah, those two stuck out to me in particular because they're just so bonkers.
Yeah, I quite like Cooties.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, but I'm with you 100% with Come to Daddy. I was wondering because you had liked my review, and I didn't even think that you had seen it recently.
Oh yeah. Just
yeah,
watched it.
but
Do I make stick beats? Sure.
He's also really
Yeah.
good in Dirk Gently's the like 2
right,
seasons that it had.
I can't believe it got canceled. It was so good.
Yeah, it was really good. I liked whoever played Dirk Gently. I thought he was really good. The name escapes me.
Yeah, I don't remember, but that show was really funny.
Then I'll move back onto myself. So I had already told them this. I've only seen 10 things, and we're going to talk about 10 things. So I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. I watched Rob Schneider's new comedy special. Asian Mom, Mexican Kid, I think is the whatever. Anyway, it wasn't bad the first 15 minutes. It was actually kind of funny for a little bit of it. And then he just went like he had a hard right turn where he was like, basically he was like, hey, now with like today's day and age and culture, you know, people are getting Me Too'd for like doing things that they shouldn't. And that's good. And then he went on to talk about like sexist jokes about his wife and like kind of sus stuff over. Basically, it was just the, you know, like the stereotypical like 90s and early 2000s comedian that would get up there and be like, oh, my wife, she sucks. She wants me to love her. And I'm like, meh. Which was really disappointing. And then it ends with him singing with his daughter. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I didn't know like Rob Schneider sang. And I learned that his daughter, it does the X's and O's song. So maybe that's why, but it was just one of those super like off to the left things they decided to do. And I can't recommend it, but again, I've only seen 10 things, so here we are. So maybe if you want to see the first 15 minutes and then turn it off, do that. But we're back to Matthew. What you got for your second pick?
I picked High Life, which was the Film Club pick for whichever week it was, and I liked it. I'd never seen Claire Denis. Is that how you pronounce it? She's French. Denis. Thank you so much. I really liked it. I'm gonna watch Travail or Travail, however you pronounce it, later for the Film Club anniversary scavenger hunt. But yeah, I really liked High Life. I really like her as a director. I think she's really interesting. Yeah. Pattinson's great. Mia Goth is good too. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those that didn't work with me, but like everybody that was involved, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. Like the directing was great, the acting was really good. It like the project itself didn't resonate with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you. It's definitely a movie really that like not everyone will like.
For sure, yeah. But if you do, like, there's a lot of people that swear by High Life. There's a lot of fans. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to Angelis with your second pick. Maybe something you didn't watch 7 times this month. Who knows?
No, I just watched this one once, but I really liked it. Onward. I hadn't seen it before, and I had it for Secret Cinema, so it was a nice movie. I didn't expect to be as moved as I was with it, but I cried so hard. Like it was 10 minutes in, and I was already crying, and it was a really, really, really good Pixar movie. I think it's on my top, not 5, but somewhere on my top 10 Pixar movies. And it was really bittersweet and wholesome, and I don't know, I loved it so much. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a little bummed that people because it got pulled from theaters, people are like, yeah, it just wasn't as successful as most Pixar movies. It's like, yeah, because we don't have theaters anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really liked Onward.
same. I
first
like it a
thought
lot.
I thought it was gonna be like childish. Like I didn't watch it before because I was like, okay, this is gonna be like a childish movie. I don't know.
No, I
But
get what you're talking about.
but I didn't expect it to be so mature and to touch like so many like serious themes. And I don't know, it wasn't nice surprise.
Well, specifically, not to like spoil anything for anybody that hasn't seen Onward. I think what it
Uh-huh.
does in like the last 10 to 15 minutes is
Oh
something
man.
I've never really seen from Pixar, or like a director for Pixar, that's what sort of like won me over a little bit. But yeah, we'll move on to Todd with your second and third pick coming round the snake again.
Okay. So my first pick, I think, came out this month on, I believe, Netflix. It's called Mucho Mucho Amor, The Legend of Walter Mercado, which is a 2020 documentary about this famous astrologer named Walter Mercado, who was like one of the biggest, like in terms of like popularity, like celebrities in South America, I guess, at one point, and in Central America, and got his kind of identity stolen from him by like corporate marketers, and like went through this whole kind of just interesting story. But on top of him being an astrologer, he was this kind of interesting, like gender non-conforming, cape-wearing person who like did these very dramatic televised horoscopes, and he's interviewed in there, and he's just a fascinating dude. So it's a documentary that I recommend to people. So yep.
Awesome! Wow,
Cool.
you really sold that well.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And then I forgot I have another pick. And then my other pick was, well, since Claire Denis was mentioned with High Life, I actually had one of her films on my list as well. I'm doing a challenge right now where I try to watch a bunch of her films, and I saw her movie White Material, which is her film from 2009. It stars, don't know, Isabelle Huppert. I'm pronouncing that right. So anyway, she's freaking great in it, but it's basically a story about like a African state that is going through revolution, and specifically people who are colonizers who are trying to hold on to a plantation that they have in this African country. And like it's basically the last days of the revolution before this occurs. And so it's this very like interesting emotional tale that has a lot to say about colonialism, and it's just really good. Claire Denis is awesome.
Cool. I'll check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I definitely need to check out more of Denis' work, because I watched High Life, and I know a couple people say, you know, that's not necessarily like all of what like she's done in a large career, but
Right.
we'll move to Angelis, your third pick.
Oh, okay. This one I didn't watch for the first time, but I rewatched it. Birds of Prey. And
Hey,
it's
Best movie.
the best movie of the year. I'm sorry, it still holds up for me as the first movie, as the best movie of the year. I haven't seen Never Rarely or Shirley, and those look good, but so far, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn is the best I've seen this year. And I want to highlight how gorgeous Mary Elizabeth Winstead looks in it. Oh my god. Oh my god. No,
Yeah,
like
what a
when she's in
picture.
the motorcycle and she turns around and she says, "Wanna ride?" Oh my god, cinema.
The
Sorry.
best. Oh my god, I love that movie.
Great
It's still the best of the year for me too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the soundtrack. Oh my god.
I got the soundtrack.
Yeah, also I'm really glad on our review we only got people that like loved it. I thought there would be one person that would be like, not really my thing. and everybody was just like, "No, this movie rules."
Yes,
It does.
because it is. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah. But Matthew, what's going to be your third pick?
My third pick was I watched Children of Paradise, directed by I believe Michel Carny, who's a French poetic realism director. It's a French film that was, I think it was voted by the French Film Academy in 1990 as the best French film in history.
Oh.
It's just a little fun fact, but yeah, I loved it. It is such a good movie. It is like, it's over 3 hours, but like it doesn't feel it. I know that's like a cliche thing to say with like long movies. It's like it's 3 hours, but it doesn't even feel like it. But if I had to pick one movie that it's true for, it's Children of Paradise. It is beautifully shot, beautifully directed, beautifully acted. I love it. It's a great movie.
Do you know what decade it came out? Just curious.
It was 1945.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. All right, I'll definitely add that to my watch list. 3-hour movie from 1945. Wow.
And it's French. Yeah,
And it's French. Oui, oui. All right, great pick. Coming back around to me. This is okay. Wait, real quick, just for people, I probably should have mentioned this earlier. If you're new listening to this, there's two things that we'll reference probably often. Anything that's like Film Club or Secret Cinema, that's all under the Film Club umbrella. We're all in a group where we watch one movie a week. The other thing that I'm about to mention, we have this goofy challenge that we do called MySpace Movie Challenges, where we all recommend a movie to each other and we watch a bunch of movies. It's fun, but I don't know why we call it MySpace.
Because you rank your movies like how you
I know. But we're on season. We just finished season 4. So a couple of my next recommendations are going to be from that. I watched 3 Iron, which was also a Film Club pick. And I hate to do the thing that I'm sure a ton of other people have done. But you figure out in like the first 12 minutes, it's like, oh, wait, this is why it's called 3 Iron. Which was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of funny to me. I don't love this as much as other people tend to do. It's from Kim Ki-duk, and it's a really interesting and quiet project, and I really like appreciate films that like they're sort of like, okay, we're gonna have a script with like 100 words in 90 minutes, and you're still gonna feel compelled. There's some stuff that I think it could have been shorter. But I mean, most of the stuff like works. It just didn't necessarily like grab me in the same way it grabbed a couple other people. Where like this is like one of their favorite movies of all time. Todd, I know you like it, so if you want to talk about it real quick.
I just it's one of those movies I really do love. It's like I think my second favorite in Film Club, and it's one of my favorite films I've seen in the last couple of years. It is though a very kind of slow, weird movie, but I think it has a lot to say just about desperation and love, and I like it a lot. So I would recommend it, but it is unusual. I would admit that.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things. Like, I don't want to sound like too like harsh on it or anything, because like it's so bold and like what it's trying to do. So yeah, definitely check it out if you're curious about it. And then I guess we'll move on to Lindsay for third and fourth.
Ooh,
Almost
third and
halfway
fourth.
through. Whoa.
Yeah, my third is a 2020 movie that I just watched a few days ago called Spree. And
Ooh, you beat Todd to it.
Oh my god, this movie. I heard someone describe it as American Psycho for Gen Z, and I can see that. It's so weird. I didn't know anything about like what it was about going in. All I knew was that the Gummy Bear song plays at some point, and it's just so
Best part.
bonkers. It's so bonkers, and Joe Keery's amazing. I love him. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It's really an interesting take on the influencer kind of idea, like or like people who are just desperate for social media attention. I thought it was a really fun take on that whole concept. Plus, the Jared 19 guy was great.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm sorry, I was gonna say it was a good movie. I didn't expect it to be as bizarre as it was, but in a good way. I really liked it.
You can watch the movie back to back and focus on completely different things because there's so many, you know, 'cause since this isn't a spoiler, it's kind of a found footage screen, you know what I mean, sort of film, you know, so you can actually like read comments on the screen and things like that, and there's a lot you can pick up with different viewings of it, because I've watched it twice now. I loved it. It's great. It's just a really fun horror film.
I know this is dumb that I did this, but because I don't know how to explain it, but I thought this was a Quibi movie until like I heard y'all like Quibi, the 10-minute shorts thing that happened and it's still sort of happening. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the 10-minute bites, quick bite.
Yeah.
Might have to explain Quibi to Lindsay after this, but anyway, like that's a tanking streaming service, and like I was like, oh no, Joe Keery, why? But no, it's good to hear that you guys are pretty positive on, you know, one of the releases. There's a lot of things that came out on VOD, and it's sort of hard to sift through a couple of them, because I know like Dave Franco directed a film, and most people were like, it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah,
I saw it, and it definitely did happen.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a lot of the case for some of the VOD releases. So that's good. I'll definitely check it out before the end of the year. Lindsay, what's going to be your fourth?
My fourth is another 2020 release that's a found footage horror film called Host. And it's basically the exact same plot of Unfriended, except with Zoom instead of Skype. But I thought it was really well done, actually. Like, I was really scared watching it. And they used like the Zoom effects really well, where it was like actually really kind of scary, where it's like a filter at one point pops up beside somebody and it's like the ghost or whatever. I don't know. It was really short too. It was only like 50 minutes, so it just like it set up the idea and then just got straight into it. And I thought it was paced really well, and the acting was solid. I still like Unfriended better because I have awful taste. But Host is a lot of fun, and I really recommend it if you're into horror movies.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Especially, I told my friends, and my friends roasted me because I was like, yeah, Unfriended was good. And I think it's just it's on the line of like just being goofy enough and like semi-horror fun that like it's that like campy horror that like works for me.
I laugh so much at Unfriended. I love it.
Even Dark Web does the same thing.
I love Dark Web.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it that much. I prefer the first one.
That's fair.
No, I watched with Lindsay Host. So we watched it together, and I thought it was gonna be like funny, like Unfriended. You know, I was ready to laugh and to mock the movie, but then I was like really scared. I was like, Lindsay, I don't want to watch. This is so scary.
It's really scary.
It's really good.
There was a lot of jump scares.
Yeah, it's also a Shudder exclusive. That's cool. They're eventually going to get bought by somebody, and then it'll be cool that they're like pioneering horror filmmaking. But I'm worried. But no, it's cool. Was this made like during quarantine?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little worried that there's going to be like 10 more of these that people, you know, they're like, I made my quarantine film, or I don't know.
I think it's the first film that was made that mentioned the quarantine.
Oh, man, so I really am not looking forward to a pandemic movie in the next 2 years.
I thought it was like pretty believable in this one. Like it wasn't mentioned too much. It was just like,
Oh no! I mean
No,
like
yeah.
a Contagion type movie where people are like, now we
Oh,
have to
yeah.
do this because
We already
it's
had
relevant.
Corona zombies.
Oh, is that a thing?
Wait,
No.
you don't know about Corona zombies?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
about
Is
Corona
that the
zombies.
Korean movie?
What is
Because there's
that?
like a Korean movie about like zombies. With, I don't know.
Nice,
Kinda
very
look for
nice.
it.
All right, great pick, Lindsay. I'm up with my fourth, and I actually have someone a pick that I loved. This is the first time that I've watched it. It's a '90s film that I had never seen, but I have nostalgia for watching it current day. That's Matilda, and Matilda is fantastic. Tons of people have told me to watch Matilda for years now, and I don't know. I don't know why I'd been putting it off. And it's Doll, so like I love Doll. So I should have known like I would be a fan of it. But on top of that, I think Danny DeVito as a director in this film really surprised me. He puts together a really interesting fantasy, sort of like ingrained in the '90s coming of age type thing, where it's a good mix of both those two. And I just think there's just something like magical about Matilda, and I get the hype
It's
at this point.
amazing.
Yeah,
Miss Honey.
Oh, Miss Honey. Yes, best
I
teacher.
love her.
yeah,
And
and I'm
I love the villain. I don't know the title in English. Like the name in English is the villain.
Oh,
The bad teacher.
what was her name?
trying to
What was
find
the
it. Is
teacher's
it
name?
Agatha? Trunk Bull?
Yeah,
Yes.
that. The
Yes.
bull thing.
Yeah.
I was
don't
so
know.
afraid of the chokey.
Well, it was one of those things where like there were certain moments where like you're mentioning, like to be afraid of one of those things. Like I'm much older now than like the intended audience, but it's like, oh well, I get this because I remember movies like this in that era when they were coming out. But yeah, no, it was honestly just like a little injection of that nostalgia goggles to put on for something I hadn't even seen when I was younger. But we'll move to Matthew with your fourth pick.
My fourth pick is named Lucky, which it came out in 2017. It's directed by John Carroll Lynch, who you recognize as Arthur Lee Allen in Zodiac. Did not know
Ooh.
he was a director, but he's a fairly good one. It stars Harry Dean Stanton, and I think it's in the. I think it released the year he died. I don't know if it's his final acting role, but it feels like it. It's like an old, aging atheist who's just wandering around town, and it feels
God.
very Twin Peaks. And it's only amped like that because David Lynch is in it, and he plays this eccentric old man who has a pet turtle named Roosevelt. And I love
my
this
God.
movie so much. It's on Hulu, so if anyone wants to watch it, please. It's amazing. If you don't like it, that's okay, but you're wrong, and it's
Matthew will give you $5 for your Hulu subscription for the month.
great. It's so good. I
You heard it
love
here
it so
first.
much.
Yeah, nice. I'll check that out and see
It
because
sounds
I've been
interesting. Yeah.
wanting to watch more stuff on Hulu. There was something recent. I'm trying to remember now. There was something recently I watched on Hulu. Oh no! To pick on my Rob Schneider, I have a movie that I watched. We'll touch on that when we go back around. Annalise, what's your? Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your recommend, Matthew.
No. I added Lucky to my watch list because, yeah, the poster looks good.
Nice. Annalise, what's going to be your fourth pick?
Okay. My fourth pick is gonna be Sunset Boulevard. I watched it like 2 weeks ago or something, and I was scared of not liking it because I know it's like a classic and everyone loves it. And when it comes to movies that have like such a high rating, I'm really scared of like not liking them. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I loved it. It was really good, and I get now why it's a classic and why it's so iconic. And I loved Norma Desmond. She's a queen. And
Yes.
yeah, it's just so good. Like I haven't been able to like stop thinking about it since I watched it, and it sounds like a lot. It's just so good. Like I can't believe why I didn't watch it before. Um, movie good, movie good.
Yeah.
Billy
it is.
Wilder, good man, good director.
Yeah, I've seen. This is my third of him because I've seen The Apartment. No, Double Indemnity and Some Like It Hot. But yeah,
Mhm.
this one is by far my favorite of him.
I really like Ace in the Hole. I think that one is really good. It's
He
very
has so
Yeah.
many good ones.
yeah.
I don't
These
know
good
why
ones
I
I've
group
seen.
these.
These ones I've seen.
I don't know why I grouped these movies together, but I thought All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard were like linked in their themes. They're probably not at all. But I remember you were saying
Women.
what's up?
Nothing.
They have
Nothing.
one thing in common.
Women is
Women.
in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I was like, if that's the theme, then
No, but I get your point on Halise, because All About Eve is pretty well regarded, and it's also a pretty old film. And I watched that, and I was like, yeah, this is whatever. So I think that's my hesitation why I haven't gone to Sunset Boulevard yet. But I see it's on Amazon Prime for anybody in the U.S. I imagine it's probably on Amazon Prime for most of the world as well, because it's old. But yeah, great pick. And we'll move to Todd with your fourth and fifth picks.
Okay, so my fourth pick is kind of a weird one. I didn't particularly love this movie, although I gave it 3.5, but I think it's interesting. It is called The Five Obstructions by the very controversial Lars von Trier. But here's what's interesting about it. It's a documentary where he challenges his mentor, filmmaker Jorgen Lith, to remake one of his films, Jorgen Lith's films, 5 times. It's a short film, but with different sets of bizarre and challenging rules. So like one time he has to remake it, but he has to have it, instead of being in a pretty place, he has to have it in a place where he's representing despair. And like one time he has to make it animated, and one time he has to be the actor in the film itself, and like just different weird things like that, and rules. And I found it really interesting, but mostly I wanted to bring it up because I feel like I wish filmmakers did more stuff like this. Like, how interesting would it be to have Spike Lee challenge Martin Scorsese to remake a short film 5 times, right? Or like, like I just wish more stuff like this happened, and I thought it was really interesting to watch, so I thought I would bring it up. It's something I watched this month. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds incredible.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. And then the other one that I will go with is a film that I just really love. It was a rewatch. It's so sweet. It's Edward Scissorhands, the 1990 film by Tim Burton. I just really love this film. It's a film that I go back to every once in a while. If you haven't seen it, it's just about the discovery of an awkward man who has scissors for hands and how he gets accepted or not accepted in society. And it's Tim Burton and Johnny Depp at their best, and I really love it. And it's sweet, and it looks beautiful, and it's great. So I recommend it. Yeah.
Nice. Fantastic.
It's great.
Yeah, him and his scissor hands. No, I definitely recommend, especially if you listen to some of what Tim Burton talks about for that movie. I feel like it adds a whole lot to it. Of what he was going for, because I feel like if you know like Tim Burton, I was about to say Tim Person, more as a person, then it makes that film more like relatable to his own like upbringing in the world, and being more of an oddball, I guess. And it's one of those at this point, like even Nightmare, like because so many people, it's at like Hot Topic everywhere. You're like, oh well, this is just like one of those like edgy things or whatever, but no, it has like it has a really nice heart to it. Really like that pick. But Angelis, you're up with your halfway pick.
Oh, okay. I haven't mentioned animation, since onwards. So, um,
You
I
mean
watched
one
this.
one pick ago?
Yes, shut
Gotta
up.
stay animation. That's fair. That's fair.
I recently watched like a couple days ago this movie called My Entire High School Sinking into the Sea.
Yes.
And have you seen it? It's
Yeah,
really
that's
funny.
actually it's the thing that I saw and I was hoping you were going to bring up because I don't think that many people are ever going to watch that movie, and I really dig it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I didn't expect the animation to be so trippy. I just wanted to watch something like short, and it's like an hour, 10 minutes. So yeah, the animation is really like different of what like it's not like 2D. It looks like draft, and it's really funny and chaotic, and I love chaos. So yeah, it's about a high school that guess what, guys, sinks into the sea. So so
It's
they
honestly
we
like watching someone's like bad dream when they were in high school. Um, I I could be wrong about this, but is this the one that's the fanfic of people that people don't like? I'm trying to remember the YouTube person. Maybe this isn't important.
but it has a lot of like cool people in the cast, and it's just chaotic, like the main characters are these nerd guys, and they encounter like popular people, and they want like to be saved by them, but the nerds are like, but you never do anything good for us. So it's interesting, to see the like the social structure of high school being like portrayed in this survival thing. Yeah.
Nice, awesome pick. And then I guess we'll move on to Matthew. What's going to be your fifth pick?
This one was a rewatch. I rewatched Manhattan, which is a Woody Allen film that I have a very troubling relationship with. Because on theory, I should love it since I love the cinematography. One could say that I don't know what the word is. It like whitewashes New York City. It's like it looks very clean aside from like one or two scenes. There's very little garbage. There's like the only people in the movie are like very neurotic Jewish people, which is like that's what New York City has a lot of. I don't know if I'm being stupid or not by saying this, but there's barely any people of color in the movie, and it just feels like an over fetishization, if I'm saying the word right, of like New York City. But I feel like that's kind of what it's doing at the same time. Also, to bring up the very creepy relationship between Isaac and Tracy, that's her name, between Isaac and Tracy, which is a little yikes, but it's just it's so beautifully shot, and like there's some genuinely good writing in there, but it's a very complex movie for me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. More with the relationship in the Woody Allen film, and I know like there's even a little bit of that in Annie Hall, but I feel like Annie Hall is very much like saying, "Hey, like Woody Allen's character is a scumbag for like dating someone very much younger than him."
Yeah. Woody
And, like,
Allen, Annie Hall definitely feels more like a critique of himself than Manhattan does.
And Manhattan's just like, nope, Woody Allen exists. This is fine. This is okay. And it's like, no.
There's a really interesting article called "What Do We Do with the Art of Monstrous Men" that I linked in my previous review of Manhattan, and it's a really interesting read if you want to look into that. So just throwing that out there.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I'll check it out. That sounds like a good, because I will say there are some movies that are problematic that I really like. So I'll definitely
Sleepaway Camp for one. That's one of mine.
Gotcha. I'll move on to my number 5. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this up just because I goofed. I brought up the Rob Schneider comedy special, and I forgot the one thing that I watched that I hadn't had written down in my list or reviewed yet. And that is Best in Show. And this is fantastic. It's about a dog show. Such a unique and interesting cast of characters. And I really needed like a good comedy. And Christopher Guest has always been fantastic at that. And the entire, the entire cast in this is incredible. Definitely worth your time to check out. I'm trying to think. There was one other part that I wanted to mention. I'm trying to remember Lindsay, do you know the male gay couple in this? Do you know the actors' names? They're my standout. It's really a who's who movie. I don't know like all of the actors' names. I feel bad not having that like immediately on my mind, but they're fantastic. The announcers are great. All the couples are really well done. Jane Lynch, before she sort of blew up.
Jane Lynch and Jennifer Coolidge. It's just so iconic.
Yeah.
You snatched that bag. But yeah, that's
Parker Posey is my favorite in that movie. Yeah.
Oh no, that's fair.
Yeah, I love the yuppie couple. That whole movie's great. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
so
no,
much.
they're all. It's just one of those like I watched it and it's like, oh no, this is why this is iconic, and this is why people were really hyped for Mascots, because it seemed, and I still need to watch it because I know some people like it, but it seemed like it was returning to that same style, and I think Guest just has a really good job of writing, at least in this era, of writing sort of like absurdist humor, but grounding it in some form of reality to where you can still believe like, oh, like if someone told me this was an actual dog show, I would not doubt it. Because like there are some people, obviously like some to extremes, but there are some people that I know that would fit certain aspects of characters. But yeah, that's going to be my pick, and I'm actually probably going to leave off my TV show that I watched, but I might mention it. But Lindsay, what have you? What are you going to pick for your 5 and your 6?
Number 5 is a TV show that I just started last night. And I'm gonna go watch the second episode after this is done recording.
Nice.
It's a Korean drama, because that's like all my roommate watches is Korean dramas. So she finally convinced me to watch one with her, and it's called W. And it's so weird. It starts with this like guy who's like a sharpshooter in the Olympics or something, and then his whole family is killed immediately, and then he gets framed for it, and it just like it keeps getting crazier, and then you find out that he's like a comic book character and he's not even real, and then it goes to this other woman and she gets sucked into the comic, and I won't give away too much more, but like that was it. Like so much happened in the first episode that my mind was just like spinning, and I was like, what is going on? And it ended on this like weird cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to go watch the rest of this series. I think it's like 16 episodes total, but it looks wild, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Nice. Wow. That's a lot for one episode.
Well, they're like hour-long episodes, but still, I don't know. I was just like, so much happened right now. Like, I didn't even get into everything that goes down. It was crazy. It was basically a movie. But yeah, it ended on a cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to see what happens.
Nice. Awesome. And then what's going to be your 6?
Number 6, I also just saw yesterday. It's called New Mutants. I don't know if you've heard
Ooh.
of it. Yeah, it was fine. It's not as bad as I was expecting. Everyone made it seem like it was like one of the worst movies ever. It had like a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes at one point, so I was expecting like some serious garbage, and it wasn't. It was fine. It could have been so much worse with like all the crazy production drama, and the movie did feel a little bit like the script was cut into pieces and then glued back together. But I don't know. It was like a fun, decent movie. The actors were all great. The character dynamics were all fun, and it was just an average X-Men movie. I don't know why everyone's making such a big deal out of it.
Yeah, and this actually would have been on my list, but because you're taking it first, I'll just piggyback on a little bit of that. I do not get the people that are like, oh, this is one of the worst like superhero movies ever. And maybe that's just because like people were waiting to write that stuff because New
Yeah.
Mutants has been trying to come out for 3 years.
I know that's the movie.
And I do like there were definitely some like rewrites to things, but I mean at least like they're trying something new with the X-Men genre where they're like, oh well, we want to try like a superhero semi horror movie and semi like smaller budget. And it's unfortunate because I don't think this is going to be commercially successful. I don't think it could have been commercially successful out of as the many times where they kept, oh well, we don't want to release this yet. And I really hope at some point that we at least hear from the director or something of what this project. I just don't understand because there are, like Lindsay was mentioning, there are definitely key moments that like they did reshoots or like rewrites of things. But I'm wondering what could have possibly been the first cut of this movie that people were like, there's no way this could come out because it's bad.
Yeah, no, I really want to know what this movie was originally supposed to be like. Because it felt like the ending especially just like got tacked on. And I really want to know what the original plans were. Because
Yeah,
I don't know,
definitely.
it's weird. I don't know.
Maybe we'll get a New Mutants doc at some point.
Yes.
I sure hope so.
It's what the people need. It'll be called the Old Mutants now. But no, it's really, it's kind of annoying because you have all these like young and like decently, like me and Lindsay talked about this. The accents are super weird in the movie.
God, the accent.
There's a guy, I joked with my girlfriend about this. There's a guy, the Stranger Things guy, and he mentions he is from Kentucky about 500 times within the 90-minute runtime. And Macy Williams is from like I forget if it's Ireland or Scotland or the UK, but she's from that area.
Scottish.
Yeah, she's from that area. Like that's her accent, and it doesn't sound like it's real.
I was so confused. Like, was she trying to put on an American accent, and it just kept
I do not know.
Or was she supposed to be Scottish? I don't know what accent she was doing. It was so weird.
I think she changes her accent like that might have been like the reshoots thing. She's
That's
actually
what I was literally like, was the first cut of this like she had one accent and the reshoot she had a different one? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, she's from Bristol. I just had that in front of me. But anyway, yeah, that's that's the New Mutants talk. But I'll move on to my number 6. With because there's some stuff that me and Lindsay discussed, but it's kind of spoilery and like it literally just came out. So
Yeah.
we'll leave that for the nice and fun people to find. But just piggybacking off Lindsay's new release, I actually did a double feature at the drive-in with New Mutants was the second movie, but the first one was Bill and Ted Face the Music. And there's definitely a lot of factors that I will say before discussing this fully, and that's in my review that'll be up on the YouTube channel. I adored this, and so much so that I am ready to plant a flag. Maybe not like a strong plant of a flag, but I'm ready to say, hey, there's some contentiousness in the best what's it called, time traveling trilogy, because I think Bill and Ted somehow still captures the same magic of the first two films, which seemed impossible to me. This was one of the films that got announced, and I literally rolled my eyes that this was being made. And there's just bits that they do that I really enjoy. I think both of the daughters in this film are incredible. And yeah, I really wound up enjoying it. So if Bill and Ted's up your alley, I know some people didn't love it as much as the first two, but I think this might have been, and I added this as well, it might be just I haven't seen a movie in a theater setting in months. So just the fact, I got to see something on a big screen may have like enhanced the viewing, but I was very much pleasantly surprised by Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah, that was one of the movies that I rented like yesterday for like
nice.
$20. Watched it with family. I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of the first two. So yeah, I thought it did capture the charm.
I'm a little less enthusiastic than the two of you, but I would still recommend the film. I liked it. It was I thought it was good. To me it is a tier below the first two, but I still enjoyed it. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
It's a fun
That's
time.
fair. No, I actually
Yeah.
I was gonna read the rest of your review, Todd. I saw it when I was browsing. But yeah, no, we'll move on to Matthew's number 6. Maybe a 2020 movie to not break the combo, but who knows?
I already harped off the back of your Bill and Ted thing. That's the only 2020 movie I've seen in the past
Oh, gotcha.
3 months. For my number 6, it's more of a collection of films, but I rewatched the whole Friday the 13th series because I haven't seen all of them in a decade. I did a few things differently. I want to highlight a few things, but I kind of like all the movies. Kind of. To an extent, part 8.
You're
and
really
part
selling
9.
that love.
The good movies are the ones I give a little heart to. The bad ones I don't. That's the ones I can't enjoy. I can enjoy part 5 to an extent because I like what they did with it. It's interesting. I cannot give a heart to part 8 or part 9. I hate those movies. They're dumb. Anyway, I watched part 3 in 3D for the first time ever because I had a DVD with 3D glasses included. So I thought, why not? I had to go back 4 feet from my monitor to watch it so that the 3D wouldn't mess up, but it was certainly fun. And I watched part 6 in black and white because the director, Tom McLaughlin, I think that's how you say it, said that he tried to film the movie like a send up to the old Universal monster films, very gothic, and the opening really sells that when it's in black and white. The rest of the film is fine. Yeah, but part 6 is my favorite. So watching it in black and white was definitely very interesting. So yeah, it's my favorite horror franchise.
Nice.
I love it.
I need to go
movies.
through those at some point. I'm waiting for there to be word for a reboot or something.
Don't
do
wait. Just go for it.
I have to. It's my favorite horror franchise as well. I have to remind you. Do you know who owns the rights to Friday the 13th right now?
Who?
LeBron James.
Oh yeah. You brought that up on the
yeah.
podcast. Yeah, I forget it because that's such a weird stat.
super random. But yeah, the next movie, Friday the 13th movie, when it happens, will be produced by LeBron James.
So you could say in some ways that the Friday the 13th franchise is relying heavily off of the Space Jam franchise being successful now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. All right, Annalise, what's going to be your sixth pick?
Yeah, my next pick is gonna be. I just realized I haven't watched like a lot of like recent things, but okay. This one's called They Shoot Horses, Don't They? It's a movie from the 70s by Sidney Pollack, and it's a movie like situated during the Great Depression, and it's about people that get into this marathon dancing contest, and the last one standing like gets like a economic prize or something. And I didn't expect it to be like so anxiety inducing, but it was really good. It was really intense. Uh, it's like climax done good. I'm sorry if you like climax or whatever. Yeah, it's climax but done good.
What was that name again?
They Shoot Horses, Don't They?
Okay, gotcha. I found it in your watches now. I was just making sure.
Yeah,
I really want to watch that one.
Oh, it's
I
great.
recommend. Yeah, I know you like it, Todd. So.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Nice, awesome.
There's this episode of Gilmore Girls, which I've also been rewatching this month, where they do like an all-night dance marathon, and that episode is called "They Shoot Gilmores, Don't They?" And now that makes so much sense. I was always wondering why they called it that.
Like at first, I thought like if you just like listen to the title, "They Shoot Horses, Don't They?" I was like, oh, this is a western, okay, but I didn't expect it to be about dancing.
Yeah, okay, I totally have to check that out.
And I found it because of the list on Letterboxd that are called "They Shoot Movies, Don't They?" I was like, what? Okay, I get it. So yeah.
Nice, awesome. And then Todd, we get your 6 and 7 now.
Okay, so for my sixth pick, I decided to. My daughter just started 8th grade, so I decided to watch 8th Grade.
Nice.
And that was a great and horrible decision.
Mhm.
So, but it was, but the movie is amazing. It's, so I just want to plug it from Bo Burnham, excuse me. It's probably like the most adorable yet cringy film I've seen in a couple years. There's this amazing child performance by Elsie Fisher that is like, I think one of the best performances of that year. I think she got robbed for not getting at least like a nomination because she portrays just this awkward 8th grader. And if you haven't seen it, it's basically just about a small period of time in an 8th grader's life who's awkward and trying to get, just fit in, and just these scenarios that she goes through. And it just really does a good job of capturing youth and everything that's like kind of interesting and creepy and weird and about it. And there's a dad role by this guy Josh Hamilton that's like made me think like
A good dad?
Yeah, it's actually a good dad. And so it was like a good dad in a movie, and I was like, oh, a good dad in a movie, that's really cool. So yeah, and I like the dad character, so I just recommend 8th Grade, and for anybody who hasn't seen it. So
Nice, awesome pick.
Oh, right, I have a second pick. My second pick is, if you haven't watched ever a documentary from Werner Herzog, I suggest you do. He is a German filmmaker who does tons of documentaries where he inserts his own commentary while talking in a very, very, very dry German-American accent, and says just very bizarre things, and they're all just these wonderful documentaries that he gets access to. So he is famous for doing like Grizzly Man, Into the Abyss, which is one about the death penalty, but like the one that I saw this month is called Cave of Forgotten Dreams. And in Cave of Forgotten Dreams, it gains exclusive access to film inside these caves in southern France that have the oldest known pictorial creations of humankind. So like the oldest cave paintings that have ever existed. And so he gets exclusive access to these, and he talks about like all these things, and he says deep and weird things throughout the film. And I just like it. Like he has these very dramatic things, like from the movie, he says like, will we ever be able to understand the vision of the artist across such an abyss of time? We are locked in history and they were not. Like, that's how he talks just on a regular basis. And so, like, I just like him and I like his films. And so I suggest Cave of Forgotten Dreams, but really anything from Werner Herzog that's a documentary I suggest to people.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, there's some Herzog-isms, I guess, that I he does like some drama stuff every now and then, like in Grizzly Man in particular, when he's like, this was the most horrific and vile recording I've ever heard of. Don't listen to this. And like,
he has this weird thing where he'll just say like, many people love nature, but nature is cruel and disgusting. Like he'll just say like weird things like that are just, oh yeah, he's just great to watch his documentaries. So like I said, a general plug for any of them. But that one was kind of fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Then I'll have that as a. But yeah, check out all of Werner Herzog's filmography. All right, Annalise, we're back to you with number 7.
Okay. Back to animation, guys.
Whoa! What?
What?
Yeah, sorry. I watched this movie for Secret Cinema again. Called A Town Called Panic.
Yes.
I watched it twice, like back to back, because it was so funny, and like I always say chaotic, but it's just that I love chaotic things, and it's like about like 3 little toys. I don't know. It's like Toy Story, but wild, like. And there's a horse, and they get on adventures, and I don't know. It's just like like a comic. You know, it's like a I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if any of
It's
you
like
have
farcical?
seen it. Like what?
Farcical, like there's no real rhyme or reason to anything. It's just like a
Yeah,
wild goose chase of a movie.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know like how to describe it. Like the movie begins with the two guys buying a gift for the horse and they want to do him a barbecue, which doesn't make sense because I don't know that if horses eat meat or not. But then they wanted to buy 50 bricks and they ended up buying like 50 million, no, like 5 million or something. And they tried to hide the bricks and they put it on the roof of the house so the house sinks. And it's just so wild, you know, like it's
Yeah, no, it's
so wild.
fantastic.
But it's so funny and it's also short. So I recommend if you're in the mood for a chaos animation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's I need to check out the accompanying TV series that was with it because I just
Oh
want to
yeah.
go into that world more because it's so funny
And
and fun.
it's funny because I think the two directors of this movie, yes, they also directed Ernst and Celestine. That it's like
Yeah,
really
very
wholesome.
different.
So yeah, I love the duality.
like Ernest and Celestine does have like a little bit of chaoticness to it, but nowhere near like the same. Oh, like plot does matter, but you know we're more like concerned with jokes, whereas Ernest and Celestine is like a little bit more drama.
Yes.
But yeah, no, great pick. Matthew, you got to top that now with your number 7.
Oh, I didn't realize we were topping each other's
I'm kidding.
things.
There's no competition. If it were, I would be last because I've only seen 10 movies.
This
but
is a
get to me.
Oh my
competition
God.
now. It is now a
I'm sorry.
competition. Thank you. All right. I watched Done the Impossible, which is a documentary that covers Firefly. It's birth, death, and rebirth, according to the Letterboxd description. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Firefly. I love that show so much. I watched it back in like, I don't know, 2017, 2016, and just maybe it was earlier. I don't remember exactly when, but I just fell in love with it. After watching Done the Impossible, I rewatched the pilot and I cried at the menu for the Blu-ray that I have. So that's how much the show means to me, is because just the first few chords of the theme song just gets me teary-eyed. And even the end of the first episode got me crying a little bit. So yeah, I just love Firefly so much. And Done the Impossible is a decent documentary. It's not the best. It's definitely made for more hardcore fans of the show, which I guess I'm a part of. I don't know. I own a brown jacket. I guess I'm a brown coat in a way. But yeah, love Firefly, and documentary's pretty good too.
Yeah, I've
Nice.
been meaning to go into that. I've never seen Firefly.
No, definitely should. It's good. I think it's got
great.
something for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And it also has Nathan Fillion, so that's why
He's
I'm really
perfect. Perfect man.
Oh. All right. So now I have to follow that up, and unfortunately, I think I'm gonna lose this competition now. No, just kidding. I got a good movie. And that's gonna be Hoop Dreams. Hoop. As in basketball hoop. Sorry, I said that kind of weird. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
You said it with a question mark. Dreams?
What are hoop dreams?
But yeah, it's a documentary by Steve James. It's pretty long. It's nearly 3 hours. The runtime's kind of felt, but not in like an annoying way. I don't mean that like, oh, it's so long or whatever. I just mean like, in terms of what this documentary is going for, it kind of has to be long in its scale. And this movie is great for sure, but it also sucks to watch, especially because like I did sports in high school and in middle school and high school, and like there were people where like either they couldn't get their grades up while they were like thriving in school, or like they were trying to make it big, and in different circumstances sort of happened, and maybe they lost like a little bit of love for the game. And yeah, just seeing this in a very real and meaningful way of what like basketball sort of represents for the African American community, just through the years, especially if you've had someone that's made it in the NBA and is like really, because like once you make it in the NBA, you're successful and you can get out of that type of lifestyle. That they're in the inner city of Chicago. You definitely like look up to that person and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to be the next so-and-so. And I definitely didn't grow up like in an inner city area. But like you can relate to like what these kids are going through, especially like in different circumstances. Like sports to me were just like, oh, well, this is a fun thing that I can do when I'm not in class. And sports to these two individuals, William and Arthur, it's everything. And it's, I don't know, it's almost like heroic in some of the ways that it's put together. There are some things I would say that I do wonder if they added voiceover afterwards to make things sound more dramatic in like hindsight. But yeah, overall, I really like it. I really get why it's a famous documentary. I thought it was another documentary about Allen Iverson, and it's not. But if you want to watch the Allen Iverson documentary, it's also good. If you're a fan of basketball, I think you'll really dig it, especially if you played sports in high school or middle school. But yeah, that's going to be my pick. And then, yeah. Have any of you guys seen Hoop Dreams, I guess?
I'm
No.
going to in like the next week or so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's on like Canopy that I'm banking off my sister's Canopy login, so I'll do that.
Gotcha. All right, then I think Lindsay, you're up with your 7th and 8th.
Yeah, okay. My 7th is a movie that I had never seen before, called Over the Hedge.
You know,
What was that movie? I think I was just too old for it when it came out, but a lot of my friends that I've met grew up with it, so they have been wanting me to watch it, and I did, and oh my god, it was weird. I don't know. I don't know that I loved it, but it was definitely worth watching. If you think that you're too old for Over the Hedge, you probably are. But it's definitely worth watching because it's super weird. And it makes you question how weird the stuff that you watched was growing up. Because it's probably just like normal for you. And then if like someone else goes back to watch it, they're like, "You watched that?" Like, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah,
it was really
for sure.
interesting. I was just like, the animation was so like bad. I don't know. It was really cool. But it was funny. So yeah, Over the Hedge. Not much else. to say.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of my girlfriend's favorite films, so we've watched that a couple times. I bought it on DVD just because she was like, "Wait, you own like thousands of movies and you don't have Over the Hedge?" It's like, "Oh yeah, my fault. Sorry, the cinematic masterpiece from DreamWorks." But yeah, no, it's really good. One of the funny things that came out of Over the Hedge is Bruce Willis in interviews for animated movies is hilarious. If you ever watch that. With Rugrats as well. But yeah, good pick, Lindsay.
Cool. My number 8 is a short film, I guess you could call it, from the Lonely Island, called The Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience.
Let's go!
I can't believe I'd never seen this before because I love The Lonely Island, and I didn't know what this was, I think, but it's basically a parody of visual albums, and it was so funny. And I hate that the music was like really good, but I listen to IHOP Parking Lot a lot on my Spotify now because it's just so good. I really like it a lot. I love
Fantastic
Lonely
choice.
Island.
Yeah, Turtle and I did 3. I forget what the third one, but one of the ones was it was the Anima. We watched Anima, the Frankenstein's father's Frankenstein. I don't know. It was the Dave Harbour Netflix. He got to make whatever he wanted. Cool. But out of the 3, like this Lonely Island special, I think it's terrific. It's cinematic in what they're doing, and I really was worried that like. The Lonely Island was sort of done once they like obviously I thought Popstar was like their way of being like, hey, here's a final like Connor for real thing, we might not go back to this. And then hearing about this and seeing it, it was fantastic.
It's so funny.
All right. I am up with my number 8, and I'm just making sure I have 10 things to talk about. Yes, I do. I'm going to talk about Tabloid, which is another documentary that I watched that was recommended for MySpace. Or Hoop Dreams was also recommended for MySpace. Tabloid is definitely one of those films that at this point maybe people watch and they're like, yeah, it's crazy, but nowhere near as crazy as Tiger King. And I think maybe like we're kind of spoiled where someone has to deal meth and be in a platonic male relationship and like all these crazy things. But Tabloid's good. It's a really well-made documentary. I think it tends to grab you in the first 30 minutes, at least for me. And then after that, it was like, oh, well, this is like just more downfall. And that it definitely has a lot of twists and turns it takes you on, and it does so really well. But ultimately, like me and Todd did a review of Tiger King. I wasn't huge on Tiger King. I may be starting to realize that I don't necessarily love like these crazy character studies of documentaries. That might not be my cup of tea. But yeah, no, it's solid if you like that stuff. And I really enjoyed like the craft of it. And it's about all I'll throw out is it's about Mormons, I suppose. And that's all I'll say. Not centered around Mormonism or anything. But anyway, Matthew, you are back up with your number 8.
My number 8. All right. So, well, I have like, I'll just go with the one I was thinking of. I'm rewatching currently and still kind of rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer with my girlfriend because she hasn't seen it.
Amazing show.
Amazing show. Best show. Maybe
show.
Ever. Best show.
They
Great.
actually,
Yeah.
They watch a lot of Buffy in New Mutants.
Oh.
Which is
Well,
one of the
I
best parts of the movie.
Guess
was
I'll
just
have
the
to watch
clips
New
of Buffy.
Mutants now. Damn. All right. Yeah, I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Sarah Michelle Gellar, icon. Allison Hannigan, icon. Nicholas Brendan, I think he got a DUI. Good for him.
Yeah,
Something like that.
you're saying he did.
Yeah, I think he's in jail. He got arrested for something.
Jeez.
Anthony Stewart Head, icon. Those are the names I could think of right now. Good for me. Yeah, I love the show. And my girlfriend's liking it too. So, yeah, that's fun.
Good. It's so
Nice.
good.
Great pick.
great.
And then Annalise, if you're ready, you can do your 8th pick.
Yeah. I watched this last night and I loved it so much. It's Blind Spotting.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
Best
I
film.
just didn't expect it to be like that. You know, I expected something like happier in a way. I mean, this is funny. Like this has funny parts, but it also has like really intense and like anxiety-inducing moments. And yeah, I don't know like what to say about this because I'm still processing it. But there's a quote of the movie that because I was like, okay, but why is it called Blind Spotting? And there's a point in the movie where some character says, it's all about how you can look at something and there can be another thing that you are not seeing. So you got a blind spot. And I don't know, it's a movie that I know like a lot of people have seen, so I was curious to watch. And I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to if Diggs and Cassell work together in the future.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
love Diggs. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say I've told a couple people that I really think because actually, Todd, did you see Good Will Hunting when it was coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, how long did it take? Did it feel like a long time for Damon and Affleck to really like become stars?
You mean like after that film?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I mean, they were still kind of just thought of as one-trick ponies for probably 2 or 3 more years minimum. I would say maybe
Gotcha.
even more. Yep.
Because that's one of those things. I feel like we're seeing the next Damon and Affleck duo in Cassell and Diggs. They're fantastic. Like, and I really think there's going to be more interest. Cassell's in I forget what HBO project it is, but he's a minor role in that movie that came out this year, Bad Education, and then Diggs is hopefully in more stuff. I know he's
in Tour de Pharmacy.
He is in Tour de Pharmacy.
interesting. I know he's in that the American version of Snowpiercer, which doesn't necessarily excite me. But hey, Diggs, get that paycheck. But Todd, we now move on to you for your 8 and 9.
Okay, so for my 8th pick, this was a rewatch, but it's a film that I think even more people should see. It's called Serial Mom, and it's by John Waters, and it's it's just like a normal middle class family, but the mom kills people and like wreaks havoc on people for the most like simple violations of middle class norms. Like
how dare you not recycle?
Yeah, like just like simple stuff like that, like not recycling, wearing white after Labor Day, things like that. And she's just like this perfect, like picture perfect mom, except that she's a serial killer, and it's done with like the perfect kind of campy John Waters quality to it, and I just love it. Kathleen Turner's great in it, and I watch it once a year or so, and it's just one of my favorite films. So I recommend Serial Mom.
Yeah.
It's the
I actually
best.
watched that on your recommendation last year. It's so good. I love it. It's hilarious.
And then the other one I'll go with is because they have such a small filmography, I decided to just finish off all the Wachowskis stuff I hadn't seen. And so I'm going to go with Bound, which was a film I hadn't seen before, but from Lily and Lana Wachowski, basically about like it's a crime thriller, but with at the center of it a relationship between a married woman and a woman who's working construction on the building. And it's just intense and dramatic and kind of like humorous in this weird way. And it's very like sultry, I guess, to use a word. Like it's the whole time. I like it a lot. I don't know if I assume other people have seen Bound, but
yeah, Bound's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's just really great, and it's amazing, especially when you consider it's their first film. So I recommend the Wachowski stuff in general. I'm just a fan of their aesthetic, although it is pretty weird. But Bound is probably their most like grounded. I don't know if I want to use the word normal, but so, you know what I mean? Like,
how dare you? Speed Racer is their most grounded film.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that.
No, Speed Racer's bonkers. Yeah. But no, I'm really interested, especially because seeing directors like where they have like a clear style in their early days is always really fun because the limitations of low budget filmmaking.
Sure.
And I do love the Wachowski, so I'll definitely add that to my watch list.
Yeah, Bound's great.
Nice. And then Annalise, we got your number 9.
Okay. I'm gonna talk about When the Wind Blows. That it's an animated movie that looks so cozy at first because it has this animation kind of like Kailu drawings, like the cartoon Kailu. Yeah.
Caillou?
So, yeah. So it's like about a couple of elderly men, a couple of elderly men, and it's so cozy, to watch them like being so dark and adorable. But then it starts like there's a war coming, and like the town is like in preparation, like to protect themselves from the war, from the nuclear attacks. Um, but they're so naive to the situation that's going on, and they just like don't know anything that's going on outside, and it's really sad. Like at one point, it becomes like super sad and depressing, and I. I loved it. I don't know how to describe it. Oh my god, why do I always say that? It's just
This is one of the few animated films that I haven't seen yet, so it's great to hear it's really good.
yeah, it's really good. It's like it starts really happy, so I was like, okay, this is gonna be happy because I didn't know it was about the war, but then it all goes down and it becomes really depressing. But at the same time, the animation is so wholesome that it's really, yeah, it's a tearjerker for sure.
Nice,
Cool.
nice. And then we'll move to Matthew's number 9.
My number 9 is I did a little Vincent Price double feature, so I'll just put those two in there. I did House on Haunted Hill and The Last Man on Earth, both very good. I love Vincent Price as an actor, but I haven't really seen that many films of his, so I just decided to watch 2 of them, and I really loved House on Haunted Hill. It's very spooky, and I like spookiness. Spooky is very fun. It's just a fun movie. Last Man on Earth is also very good. It's definitely more serious than House on Haunted Hill, but yeah, Price is really good in Last Man on Earth. His performance, because the second act is mostly flashbacks before the apocalypse hits. If you don't know Last Man on Earth, it's basically I Am Legend, because that's what it was based off of, the same book.
Mhm.
The second act is basically just flashbacks and setup for the rest of the movie. He sells it so well as both a family man and a destroyed, depressed, despaired loner. He is a very good actor. Seems like a fun guy. He has the best voice ever, besides like Tony Todd or Keith David. So yeah, Vincent Price is great.
Nice, yeah. Vincent Price, he's Professor Rattigan in The Gray Mouse
Mhm.
Detective. That's one of the only, besides Edward Scissorhands. But that's
Edward
really cool to
Scissorhands.
hear. Yeah. It's really, really cool to see that. Watching some of his films, I'll definitely check him out.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Nice. And then it's up to me now for number 9. I'm actually going to mention the show that I thought I wasn't going to mention. Then Lindsay ripped the New Mutants from me. And that's going to be this show on Netflix that I was recommended called Love on the Spectrum. And it's basically just about sort of dating when you have autism. And it's kind of like a couple other like dating shows that you have come to know. But just like the nature of what they're trying to do, it's way more like wholesome. And I think like even more, they're trying to like actually create lasting relationships and more of an understanding of love. Because honestly, like there's like coaches on this to help some of the people, like dating coaches. And like I just sat there and I was like, yeah, this could be in like Love is Blind, because I don't think most of those people like knew what they wanted in a relationship or anything. And it's really good, and I think it helps to destigmatize autism as being this weird thing that some people don't know anything about. And I think there's a lot of projects recently that do a good job of addressing that. Hannah Gatsby's comedy specials as well. But I think it's like 8 episodes or something like that. There's a good cast of people that are in it. They're all really interesting and fun. So yeah, if you just want a lighthearted little series to watch with anybody or just yourself, that's definitely the way to go with Love on the Spectrum. I don't know if anybody else has seen it.
No, I haven't.
Mhm.
No.
Okay, guys, it's on Netflix. I believe it's Australia where they filmed. Yeah, it's Australia where they filmed all of it. I thought it was a 2020 release, but apparently it came out a while ago. So I don't know if it came out TV in Australia and then we got it here on Netflix. But yeah, that's my 9th pick. Lindsay, you're going to bring us home with your 9 and 10.
Ooh, okay. 9 and 10. Okay, number 9 was a very weird movie that I just watched. Part of my Elijah Wood binge. It came out in 1992. It was written by J.J. Abrams, and it was so stupid, but I really liked it just because it was so stupid. But it's basically Mel Gibson was a soldier in like the 50s, I think, and his wife or his fiance like falls into a coma, so he volunteers to be part of this program that freezes humans. So he was supposed to be frozen for a year and then woken up because he wanted to, like, I guess, not exist in a world without her. But then he woke up in the 90s because baby Elijah Wood, like, found him in a warehouse or something. And then he, like, doesn't know where he is or what's going on because he's like suddenly like years and years later, and so he's trying to find his best friend who was in charge of the program that froze him. So he crashes at Elijah Wood's house. He's like a 10-year-old boy, but he like Jamie Lee Curtis plays his mom. And I won't give away what happens in case you want to watch it. It's called Forever Young, and it's free on Amazon Prime.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's so stupid. The ending is hilarious. I laughed so hard. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
You're really getting into the deep cuts of Elijah Wood.
I just put his whole filmography like on like shuffle basically, and then I just watch them.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
I was really worried because I thought you were talking about Deep Impact before you said the title.
Oh no.
I was like, this is the plot of Deep Impact?
No, Deep Impact is really good.
Yeah. But no, no, really great pick for your number 9. Are you gonna finish with Elijah Wood?
No, I'm finishing with a TV show that I've been watching. It's a reality show, and it's called Big Brother. We're on season 22 of Big Brother, and it's an all-star season. And so far, it's been very disappointing. But Big Brother's like weirdly fit for quarantine. Like I was surprised that they were filming initially, but there's no cameramen because there's just cameras all up in the house, like watching them all the time, and they're basically just quarantined for the whole summer. So it makes sense that they were able to film during all of this. But it's a really interesting show. Like I don't normally like reality shows, but I got sucked into this one because my friend was watching it. And it's just like such a weird, interesting, like sociological experiment where you like lock 20 or 16, I don't know exactly how many people, but you lock them all in a house, and then you just like one by one they get evicted until there's the last person standing. And it's, I don't know, I really like it. So if you think you might be into something like that, I really recommend Big Brother because it's one of the only things currently airing right now because they were able to.
Keep doing that. Yeah. I know they like paused the filming because they were like, hey, should we tell them about everything that's going on? Or which must have been a interesting decision-making process.
Oh,
but, yeah.
No, they went in after all of this started.
Oh,
like
maybe it was a different show. That was funny.
They all got tested for COVID before going in. There were some people that couldn't join this season because they tested positive. Because it just started a few weeks ago. I think this is only its 3rd week into the season, so it's still early on.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Big Brother is a fun one if you want to check it out.
Gotcha. All right, I'll round it out with my 10th pick. This is actually going to be my favorite watch of this month, and possibly a contender for best watch of the year. And that is going to be, let me pull up the names real quick of this stuff. It's going to be a Theo recommend that I got in Kung Fu Hustle. And it's Stephen Chow, and I love me some Stephen Chow so far. I grew up with Shaolin Soccer, and that like being on all the time. This is just right up my alley of the hero's journey. Like you sort of root for someone who's not necessarily the best hero, but starts to figure some things out, and it really does a good job at power dynamics and introducing characters in a really, it's almost like a condensed TV show where you'd see like a villain of a week type thing. It's like condensed to a full movie, and it really works in that regard. And I've said in a lot of times that there's nothing live action could do to capture the same feel of anime. And there's things like Hero and Crouching Tiger that do a really good job of filming fights and creating amazing visuals, but it doesn't have the same bounce as a lot of anime does.
Mhm.
And I think Kung Fu Hustle is the closest thing for me of getting there. It's absurd in some of its fights. Yes, it does look goofy at times, specifically with the CGI run that happes midway through. But I love it. All that stuff, any flaws that I could say about it, it just keeps working for me and keeps me thinking like, oh yeah, this is one of my favorite things ever. So yeah, it's maybe an all-time favorite when I watch it again, and I'm really excited because someone gave me another Stephen Chow for MySpace Season 5. So yeah, really looking forward to digging into the rest of this guy's career.
Yeah, Kung Fu Hustle is amazing. I love it.
Yes. Agree.
Well, very nice. All right, Matthew, you got your last pick.
I will take my last pick and keep it close to my heart, because this is a film by a filmmaker who means a lot to me. I've discovered him in the past almost a year. I watched my first film of his last December, but it is Robert Bresson's The Trial of Joan of Arc. Bresson is a director that I think needs to be talked about more. I know he's highly regarded by some of the world's most highly regarded filmmakers like Jean-Luc Godard and Andrei Tarkovsky, who said that he was above all other directors Bresson was. So going into his films, I thought it was like, oh, these guys like him a lot, so let's see how that goes. And I loved pretty much every single one of his films that I've seen. Granted, I've only seen like 5. Yeah, 5. Trial of Joan of Arc was my 6th, and is the only one that I haven't given a perfect score to. Granted, it's a 4.5 out of 5. But yeah, I love Trial of Joan of Arc. I think Bresson's style is really, really interesting because I'm recently getting into Transcendental Style in Film, which is Paul Schrader's book, and it's a really interesting read. His whole chapter on Bresson is so interesting, and so I thought I'd watch a Bresson film because I thought I'd get into that. I'm also going to watch more Ozu and Dreyer to accompany the book. But yeah, I love Bresson as a director. I think he's very interesting. And it's also, the movie is a really interesting comparison because Bresson is, for lack of a better word, very unemotional. Like his performances to the outsider can seem very stilted and boring, to use a dumb word. But compare Bresson's Joan of Arc movie to Theodore Dreyer's Joan of Arc movie, which is The Passion of Joan of Arc. It's a really interesting comparison when you compare the performances of each Joan of Arc, because Falcon-Yeti, who plays Joan of Arc in Dreyer's film, is very emotional and so expressive with her eyes. And you can see remnants of her performance in like Sheryl Lee as Laura Palmer, which is just this, I don't know how else to describe it, but just pure emotion on screen. Whereas the Joan of Arc in Bresson's film is very direct and straight and to the point with the whole trial. Yeah, it's just, I think Bresson's a really interesting filmmaker, and I wish more people would watch him. I don't think they'd like him because he's not a filmmaker that everyone would like. He's very, I hesitate to use the word alienated from everyone else, but he feels like that kind of guy. He's in his own little world.
Nice, awesome.
And I love that.
Definitely add that to my watch list.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Just curious, which Joan of Arc do you recommend watching first?
I don't think it'll matter, but I guess I prefer Passion of Joan of Arc very slightly. But, it doesn't really matter. Everyone knows the story of Joan of Arc, so it's not like you watch one movie and it's going to ruin the other for you.
Oh, this Joan of Arc movie spoiled the story for the other one.
She's a saint now. Everyone knows who she is.
Yeah, true. Angelis, what's going to be your 10th and final pick?
Okay, my final pick is called Nine Queens or Nueve Reinas in its original title. It's a movie from Argentina made by Fabian Belinsky. And it's a movie that it's like situated during the economical crisis that Argentina had since 1998 to 2002. This movie was made in the 2000s. So yeah, it's a heist slash crime movie about two guys that like two thieves, and they start like this super complicated heist. And I love how political it is because at first it's just like a crime movie, but as you keep like reading about the whole thing in Argentina at that time, it's really political and like a big criticism on the country at that time. And I just loved it, and I wish more people could watch it because it's really good and really engaging and like super interesting. Once it catches you, it doesn't let you go until the movie finishes. And it has like a really like solid plot and a lot of plot twists that doesn't make the movie complicated, but because sometimes plot twists like make it all like complicated or nonsensical when you like watch it in retrospective. But this was really solid, and yeah, I can't stop recommending this to everyone because it's awesome.
Nice, awesome, dope. All right, Todd, you get to finish us out. Wow, almost 2 hours into this, you get the final pick.
Nice. All right. So this is actually my favorite new film I've seen in August. It's a film from 2012 called Holy Motors. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of this. It is a very unusual film. You do basically a 24-hour period in the life of a person, being of some sort that is moving between different lives of different people as if it's their job, being like escorted by a limousine from place to place. So for example, he has to beg for money for a period of a couple hours, and then he gets back in the limo and he goes to his next job, which might be to be like a hitman or a family man or like some sort of thing like that. And so it's a film driven primarily by the pretty amazing performance by a gentleman named Denis Lavon, I'm going to guess, based on the way it's spelled. But it's just a pretty amazing film that has a lot to offer for people who are into horror or people who are into suspense thrillers. As long as you're okay with something being like fairly weird and difficult to wrap your mind around, it's a wonderful, wonderful film that I really enjoyed a lot.
Nice, awesome. Great way to round things out in the last round. But that's going to do it. And all my hosts have given me way too much time to record this. Thank you guys for your patience and all these great recommendations. Now I have a list of things I'll check out for the month of September. And maybe we'll have some actual new movies, enough new movies to talk about. But who knows? Anyway, that's going to do it for another episode of All That Film. To Todd, Angelis, Matthew, and Lindsay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And viewers,
Thank you.
And if you want to share any of your favorite watches for the month of August, feel free to do so. You can find all of our socials down below in the description. Also, all these people that you see are on Letterboxd. Most of them. You just gotta search their name and they'll show up. Matthew, what's your Letterboxd?
It's basically it's Buckaroo Banzai.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought. So yeah, look for Buckaroo Banzai the film, but look for the Matthew instead. But yeah, that'll do it. Thank you guys for checking out this episode. See ya.
Bye.
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 I was really bummed